Hello y'all on YouTube, this is Rob with Rob's Nerdy Knives. Today I want to do a little interesting review of a knife I've had for quite some time now, but this one's modified and you probably may be familiar with what this is. This is a Spyderco Smock. Typically it comes with carbon fiber scales, and this has been modified with these orange fat carbon scales and some of these I guess you can say red coated screws on here. And this is a Pacific Suns deep carry pocket clip. Looks a little bit like a Lynch clip, but it's not. This is the Pacific Suns one. Really neat little knife if you're not familiar with this one. The manufacturer is Spyderco. This one's made over in Taiwan. It's been around for quite a while. It's made by, I believe, Edward Smock is the guy's name. I don't know, but the guy's name is Smock, and he is an actual custom knife designer, and he makes some custom versions of this that are just phenomenal. But this is such a great production series that Spyderco puts together. And let's go ahead and take a look at this. Now this is CPM, and if you want to take a look, CPM S30V steel. So it's not S35VN or 45VN or any of those advanced steels, but the good thing about, if you're familiar with Spyderco, Spyderco does such an outstanding heat treat job on their metals. So this S30V steel is going to be significantly better than I think many other steels out there that are even a little bit more premium. Just really do an outstanding job, and something I can really attest to in the way it retains its edge, and not easy to sharpen. I mean, it's relatively easy to sharpen for S30V, right? But it just holds the edge and everything. Really nice. So that's the manufacturer and the designer. Let's describe the material. So typically, I think I already said to you, this was made out of carbon fiber, but usually it's a carbon fiber layer on top of G10. I replaced those with these fat carbon orange fat carbon scales. And these were done through RIP's Garage Technology, RGT. Got them, I think, through DLT Trading. Beautiful, beautiful scales, and I don't know if you can see that, but this reflects so gorgeously in the sun. I don't know if the lights here can do it justice, really, but it just gleams outside in the sun beautifully, okay? I wanted to put a little red in there because I like to carry something red on Fridays. I don't know if I like these screws. I may eventually change those out, but I still like the fat carbon. Fat carbon is one of my favorite carbon fiber materials out there. All right, the blade, again, like I said, is S30V, which is fantastic. This is a compression lock, but it's a button compression lock. So what you can see back here is this is the actual compression lock that's in here. So if I release this right now, you can see the compression goes in the back, just like a Shaman or like a Para 3 or a Paramilitary 2. They all have this compression lock in the back, but instead of being exposed and pushing it in, it's a button, which is kind of like taking that CME that OCD for EDC does. He does these CMEs. They're compression made easy little attachments you put on your compression lock. I love those. Have them on all my Spydercos that can take a compression lock. But this is kind of like hidden, so it becomes like a button lock, but it's really a button compression lock, and that's what this is. So I call this a button compression lock. It's a button lock, but it's a button compression lock. That's technically what that is. All right. It is a flipper, so you can see that there's no jimping or anything on there, so it works really well as long as you've got good pressure. It really is sort of what I call a push button, right? It's not a light switch. Light switch is more you go across like that. Now if you do light switch, you may fail it by sliding off because there's no jimping. But if you do the push button, it does work really well. Now, also with this one, it also has the typical Spidey hole. Now it's a smaller hole, but it does work. It's easy to get your finger in there and easy to reverse flick, and also easy to front flick as well. I find it very useful. Has just enough edge sharpness on here, has just enough accessibility to really work that really well. Now, being that it's also a button lock, you can flip it open, right? So it's kind of hard to do at an angle. You kind of want to do that, right? So there you go. Now, one other thing that's interesting to note, this typically has double detent. There's a detent that goes, once you clear the detent right here, and you come over this part, and then you lock in here. Now, there's a second detent that I actually took out that was in there, and I didn't want it because it pushes extra pressure on here, and it makes it, it doesn't, kind of takes away the ability for it to do that drop shut, and I really like that. So I don't know, it's kind of up to you. It's a spring that goes into the little hole, and the ceramic ball goes right on top of that. It's easy to put back. I kept it so I could always put it back, but I prefer it this way. And I find that the detent, now I think it's supposed to help in giving you a stronger detent or whatever, but I think that's still a pretty good detent for me. So I like it. I think this is plenty for me. What else did we talk about? You can see that you can easily choke up on this thing. It gives you a good choke up, like this is a finger choke up point. You know, if you pull up like that, you should be fine, right? That's definitely one of those things that you want to make sure you keep an eye on and everything. So the blade style on here, this is what I would call reverse tanto sheep's foot. I don't know, you know, modified. I don't know if it's a Warncliffe sheep's foot reverse tanto. I don't know. You know, call it modified, call it whatever you want, but I love the design. I love the blade style. I think it's really useful. And it is a hollow grind, a beautiful hollow grind. So if you can't see that, that is definitely a hollow grind. It comes to a nice thin edge. I did sharpen this, and so I have a really beautiful edge on there, which is really nice and retains that edge wonderfully. So, you know, that's the blade shape right here, and I do like that a lot. So, and it's flat up here, you got some jimping, easy to hold on to and all that good stuff. I think that's about it. I mean, you know, you can see that it's definitely centered, which is really nice. It's got good, it would be detent. There's a detent ball in here, so technically we are clearing a detent on a compression lock. You know, it's like a traditional detent ball that's in there. Now, typically you would be clearing 2 detent balls, but here I'm only doing 1 because I took 1 out, like I said. All right, measurements. Let's go ahead and get into the measurements. Let's weigh this guy. So let's start off here. All right, so let's get a measurement on this. It's 3.64 ounces, so that's not too bad. 3.64 ounces. Pretty cool, pretty cool. All right, let's get a little length on this guy. Let's start off here. So as you can see, we are looking at a just shy of 8 inches blade, right? So we are probably a 1/16 of an inch shy. So I would say this is 7 and 15/16 of an inch. If I were to fudge it just a little bit and go right to the very, very edge like that, you know, yeah, then we'd be maybe, yeah, I don't know, maybe, I don't know if that's 16th, maybe that's 1/16. I don't know. It's close enough, right? It's just a hair shy. So the blade length itself is going to be about 2, I want to say 2 and, I want to say 7/8. So 2 7/8 is the length of the blade. The cutting length, if we go from here to here, is about 2 7/8. But if we talk about the total length of the blade, where some people might judge you, it's definitely going to be probably about 3 and I want to say 3/7 or 4/7 of an inch, right? So if you go from here to here, some people judge the blade length from the tip all the way to the handle. So, you know, take that with you will in your state laws. Make sure you're aware of that. The handle itself, from where you would typically grip from here to here, it's going to be 3 3/4 inches. But if you choke up like right to here, you get 4 and probably 3/5 of an inch. If you choke all the way up to the I guess it's the sharpening choil or finger choil, you're going to get almost a full 5 inches. So definitely give you a lot of room for choking up and things like that, right? So in order to measure the blade length, I'm going to lay this knife down right here, and let's go ahead and get our caliper out. So, all right, so we're at 0, and let's go ahead and measure that. So we are 121 hundredths of an inch, 122 hundredths of an inch, right? So it's just a little over 1/10 of an inch, definitely way less than 2/10 of an inch. So that's not too bad. It's relatively decent stock, but the thinness of the edge right here is really, really nice. So that's the measurement, blade thickness, and the length. All right, so knife category. Now, typically when you buy one of these, when I bought it, they were a lot less when I originally got these. But they're still selling these, and prices have gone up significantly, right? So because of inflation or what have you. This would be in around the $212, $220 when I paid for it. I think these are running $230. I've even seen them at $250 at times. It all depends on what's the steel composition. You know, is it an exclusive from someone, different things like that. So with just the carbon fiber scales by itself in CPM S30V steel, it's going to be about anywhere from $230 to $250, right? That's about the cost of this knife. Now, if you get it with some extra nice steel, if you get it, you know, some of the runs that are 3V or crew wear or different things, sometimes they run in the special steels, you're definitely going to get a much more expensive knife. Now, these scale sets here, these run about 150, 160 bucks. So if you add that to the 240, let's say, so that makes it 340 plus the 30, so we're looking at 370, so now it's about 370, right? And then if you look at this clip right here, this is going to be about a $20, $25 clip, so you get this range of the knife after you've built this, and if you assemble this over time, you're looking around $400, right? I mean, it'll take you a while to get there, but you can definitely, little parts of it you can build up to get something like this. Now, if you wanted just the stock like it regular is, like I said, it's around between $230 and $250 right now. That's about the price what they run. But I do like doing different scales, and that's always nice. I also have some Met and Boss titanium scales. It's the Aztec design. I like those as well. I've had these on here. It makes it really nice looking too. That's a different type of scale as well. I'm not a big fan of the lanyard hole. I could care less about it, and the Met and Boss ones covered up a lanyard hole, so I like that a lot. So that was cool, right? Here you have a nice deep pocket carry clip. That's really cool. The Pacific Suns, this is titanium, so it does have some flexibility and does retain that. That's really nice. You're not going to, bend it and ruin it. So I do recommend upgrading that, especially if you want a deep pocket carry clip. So it gives me relatively deep carry. Typically, it's going to be, the carry would be way down here with the standard Spyderco clip, and I didn't like that. I mean, that's really sticking out quite a bit. I prefer my knives a little more, carried rather deeply and more discreetly, if you will. So there's that. That's what this puts. That's a price range for this where you can put it in. So based on the way I have it, this would definitely be a high-end knife, right? Not high-end from the materials or anything like that, but high-end from the different things that I put together on there. In and of itself, this is definitely a regular knife, right? So if we want to really be fair, a regular knife here, you can make it a high-end knife by what you add to it. You can almost customize just about anything out there, right? Whether it's made by somebody's standard, made by somebody's standard, or if it's something that you get custom, that's really the case. Now, what's the purpose of this knife? This is definitely, I would say, a everyday carry, hard use type of knife. It is caged ceramic ball bearings on here. I did put Skiff washers in here, and that gave it a really nice, easier, smooth drop shutness. See if you can see that. I personally like that a lot. So I don't know if you can see that. That's just really nice. Definitely think that's a worthwhile investment to consider in getting some Skiff washers. I did really enjoy that. And I think I'll have to remember what size they were, and if I can, I'll try to post it into the description. If anybody's curious, just message me down below. Leave me a little comment and let me know that you want to know the Skiff washer sizes. I'll go find that for you if you're genuinely interested. But I know if you go to Skiff Washers website, the Skiff washers on ball bearings, he has a little spreadsheet, and it already has which washers fit the Smock there. So check that out. Definitely worthwhile. Maybe I'll link, because I'll probably link Skiff washers in there. Yeah, I'll probably link it in my description, and then I'll put a link into that little spreadsheet that he has on his website. He tends to update that and manage that, so definitely worth checking out. So the purpose really for me, I mean, it's everyday carry. It's nice carry. It's very discreet. It's very comfortable. It's very useful. It's very hard use, I think. You can definitely, beat up on a knife like this. Now, it is a hollow grind, so I would never like pry and anything, but you can see the tip here. The tip does come up to a nice hollow grind tip, but it's robust out here, so you're not going to worry about it bending and breaking unless you're doing the very tip here and cutting in something like that. But you can definitely poke with that. You can definitely slice with that, and then you can choke up for a really nice push cut. I think that makes it really, really nice, right? Ergos and feel. So the traditional normal scales, the carbon fiber scales that come with it, they're chamfered as much as this is. It's not very rounded. It's not like the Shaman. It's not like some of those other ones that have just a beautiful contoured handles. Now, I would like to see maybe some contoured versions. They do chamfer it here a little bit for the grip where you come in and choke up, so that is nice. And it's also nice because it gets you to the spider hole a little better, right? But it would be nice to see that chamfer to be a little more contoured. So you are dealing with a kind of a blocky square knife. If you can get your grip in there and where the bend of your arm and your fingers and everything, it can be very comfortable, I think. It's not very uncomfortable for me. Of course, the Pacific Suns titanium clip makes it very, very comfortable for me. I do like that a lot. It's better than I think the Spyderco clip that they have, so I think that's worthwhile. The deployment, to me, it's fun. It was one of my most fidgety knives when I first bought it. This is one of those that I had multiple deployments that I really liked, and it was my first sort of button lock experience, right? Ooh. Sorry, it's a Monday. It's been a long day, and I wanted to get this review out, so I apologize. But anyways, so beautiful, beautiful little button lock, which is fun to deploy with. I enjoyed that. The Spidey hole is always fun to deploy because this one also works both left and right-handed really nicely. It's always nice to do. And then of course the flipper. The flipper is always really nice. And what's nice about this flipper is, I can flip it, going like this. I can flip it like that. oops, don't cut the table. I can flip it, you know, pretty much any way I want. You know, I can do middle finger flip if I wanted to, right? So that's always nice. I like that. So to me, Ergo's, the hand feel is really nice. The deployment designs are really nice. I do, you know, that's the only thing, there's no jimping on here, and I get it. It's meant to be a little smooth, square, kind of a unique look, and that's typical of the Smock design, and I appreciate that. And it's not going to grate and rub and sand anything down in your pocket, anything you may have in there with it. So, I mean, you know, there's that. It makes it a nicer EDC type knife. Closing design, that button lock or button compression lock is really nice. I love the drop shut, and if you release it just nice, it's not gonna bounce out, right? So if I release it and hold it, it's gonna bounce, right? But if I release it and drop it, it's gonna go right into that detent and close beautifully. Fidget factor, you know, it's not the perfect fidget factor, but I'm definitely gonna give this a solid 8, maybe an 8.5, because this is one of the most fidgety knives that I first have, and I enjoyed this knife, and that's why I mean, this is one of those knives that I've just found so much pleasure with and enjoyed for so many years that I don't think I want to get rid of it. I really don't. I might get different scales. You know, at some point I might sell it if they come out with a special steel cut or something special. I might want to consider that, but I really do like this knife, and I think I'm going to continue to retain this. I'm not the kind of guy that has multiple versions of the same knife, so you're not going to see me have 2 or 3 different Smocks. I'll have one Smock. Unless I sell it and replace it, I'm not going to have 2 or 3. So that's just me. I mean, other people, you know, they do things differently, and that's really fine. That's the beautiful thing about the knife community. Everyone can collect and carry the knives that they enjoy and they want to carry. There is no requirement for you to have certain knives and certain things in your collection. So there you go. My overall thoughts on this knife. I like it. I've kept it. It's been a keeper. It's one of those knives I haven't really wanted to get rid of. You know, would I consider getting rid of it if I can get another really cool knife? Yeah, I would. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm attached to it. So if someone came and said, "Hey, I really like that Smock. I'd like to make you an offer," I'd probably entertain it, right? But I wouldn't go out of my way to sell it. Let's put it that way, right? I do like it, and every time I carry it after a while, I realize, man, I really like this knife, and it's a lot of fun. So it's one of those knives that once you carry for a little bit, you're like, this is a lot of fun. As you can see right now, I'm starting to enjoy just fidgeting with it. So I think it's highly recommended. I think it's a great design. I would love to get the Smock designer, maybe it's Ryan Smock? I can't remember the first name. I follow him on Instagram. He has an Instagram account, but he makes some custom scales for this, and I wonder if some of those are contoured. I think they are. So that would be really cool to get from him, but they're going to be expensive. Some of his scales are going to be more expensive than the knife itself that I paid for a production run. Now his custom knives, way more expensive, but you know, probably way nicer also too. So there's that. I definitely recommend this. I think it's one of those knives that if you really want to, if you enjoy Spyderco, if you enjoy things that are Spyderco, you should have this. I mean, to me, I would say the holy trinity of Spyder, or the holy, you know, trinity plus one, is really going to be the Shaman. You would definitely want a Shaman if you want to pronounce it correctly, but I like to say Shaman. The Smock, I think, is one of those. And then for me, it's going to be the Paramilitary 3. Or the Paramilitary 3, or it's actually Para 3, or the Para 2, the Paramilitary 2. That one's actually Paramilitary 2, and then there's the Para 3. So either one of those I think would make the perfect trinity. I have all 4 because I like the large and the small, and the Paramilitary 2 that my wife bought for me as an anniversary present, so I'm not going to get rid of it. But I like to carry more of the Para 3 for the size, but I like the bigger one, especially when I want a bigger knife, and I like to carry it then. You know, there's times when you want a bigger knife, and there's times when you don't. And so it's nice to have those options. That's as close as I get to having 2 almost of the same knife. You know, if you have extreme size differences, I might entertain that. Like I do the big banter, the banter, and the baby banter. I also do the QSP Plus, the QSP Penguin Plus, the Penguin, and then the Penguin, the Mini Penguin, right? I like those QSP knives, but I get the traditional pocket knives limited edition with the titanium scales that are jigged and the M390 blade steel. So to me, that makes it just a little nicer. It's a fun knife to have in my collection. But there's no other sizes, if you will, of this, unless I were to get this a custom blade, or I get, you know, Ryan Smock to design get one of his custom knives, then I would probably get rid of this, because it would be so much cooler to have one of his custom knives. Obviously, it'd also be so much more expensive. So there's that. That's where I stand on it. I think it's one of those knives I really recommend that everybody has in their collection. I think you should consider it if you haven't, and at least try it out, and maybe go to a store and get a feel for it and see if you like it. I just think it's super fidgety and super fun. It's one of the first super fidgety fun knives I had, and it also has Kate ceramic ball bearings, which makes it just beautiful action. I like that. I like that a lot. So there's that. All right. That's really my thoughts on that, and I appreciate you guys watching today, and thank you. And so if you found my content fun, interesting, or worthwhile, would you please consider liking this video? And if you've already liked this video, maybe consider subscribing to my channel for more content. And if you've already subscribed, maybe consider clicking on that notification button down below. That way you can be notified of future content that I release. I sure appreciate that, especially subscribing and liking my videos really, really helps my channel out a lot. Helps me to keep producing more content. At some point, it'll help me to be able to continue to get more diverse knives to check out, to review, and to share with you. I would love to do that. I don't have unlimited funds, so everything here has to be done very strategically and carefully, and sometimes I have to sell some to get some, so it's going to be slow, but there's that. I appreciate it. Now, if you liked all of that, and you enjoyed that, and you maybe check me out over on Instagram as well. If you wouldn't mind, it's Robs_nerdy_knives over on Instagram. Again, Robs_nerdy_knives over on Instagram. Hey, thanks so much for watching today. You guys have a great day and a great week. Bye.